everybody. Welcome back to Fear Given and Rethemed. We are your hosts, Sean
and Casey, and today we will be talking about the Boogeyman movie trilogy. While there have been several movies by that name, we'll be specifically talking about a trilogy of them written by Eric Kripke and Brian Sieve.
I don't know.
Sieve? I don't know. That started in 2005.
Yeah.
So the Boogeyman.
The Boogeyman.
Yeah, we were all scared of the Boogeyman when we were younger.
Yep.
I wonder what the Boogeyman...
Like where it started?
Yeah, like the name where it started.
We probably should have researched that before.
You know, I thought about that before we started this, and I was like, maybe it's in your fun fact somewhere.
You know what I want to do? And this literally just popped into my head. So I've been thinking today, like, what types of episodes can we do to, spice things up? Because, we do attractions. We do, themed attractions or haunted attractions, and we've done movies now. But, maybe it's time for something new and different, even though we're, 3 months in.
Yeah.
So I thought, what about if we did episodes on, creatures, mythological creatures, not just, unicorns and whatever, but, Chupacabra, Mothman, or Boogeyman.
Ooh, that would be cool.
So maybe we'll dedicate
the
a whole
lore
episode.
Of...
Exactly. The stories, the legends, the cultural distinctions, things like that.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, jot that down. That'd be a good one.
You're making my wheels turn. I have some options in my head already.
Sweet.
Okay,
so before we get started, I'm going to throw you for a loop.
Okay.
I want to set the scene of when these movies originated. So this was... Boogeyman obviously isn't a singular concept. There's not been just one trilogy about the Boogeyman.
Right.
He's kind of a... He or she, I guess, Boogeyman, Boogeywoman.
Yeah, why is it...
Well,
why is it just the Boogeyman? Why can't it be Boogeywoman?
What's the... There's been a movie. Is it Eileen Wuornos?
Yeah.
Wuornos? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, Eileen Wuornos, I think.
So I think there's a movie about her called The American Boogeywoman.
Okay.
I could be completely wrong.
There is a movie about her, but I don't remember it being called Boogeywoman. But
right, I'll look that up in a second. But to set the scene of 2005, do you remember any other movies that came out, horror movies specifically, that came out in 2005? That
How old were we? Do the math
13.
really quick. 13.
Yeah. This was a good year and a good time for
The
horror.
Ring, right?
The Ring 2. Yep.
Okay.
Also, so I would not consider this Boogeyman trilogy, any of the films, on the level of these movies I'm about to name.
Okay.
But this is kind of the competition, the market.
Okay.
That the first Boogeyman entered into. House of Wax.
Ooh.
Skeleton Key. One of my favorites.
That's a really good movie.
Because of the twists and turns at the end. Phenomenal movie. Hostel, which I don't know that you and I have ever seen together.
I don't think we have, but I do remember seeing it.
Them. Devil's Rejects, which we've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Which we've kind of touched on in the past a little bit. Hide and Seek. I don't know if you remember that. It's got Robert De Niro in it. Really good movie.
I'm sure I've seen it.
A lot of good twists. Like you said, The Ring 2. White Noise.
Ooh. Saw
2, which is interesting because Tobin Bell makes an appearance in these films. And he plays, obviously, kind of the... not the madman, the... Oh my gosh. I just had... In my head, I'm thinking of the word matchmaker, but that's not it. Game maker.
The matchmaker.
The game maker of Saw 2.
Okay.
Or all of this franchise. And several others. But, those are some heavy hitters in the horror industry.
I don't think this movie is as good as any of those.
No, by far. None of this trilogy is.
No.
I think it was very convoluted. It's not very connected.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
I feel like they took very different approaches for each movie.
Yeah.
The Boogeyman itself looks completely different in each version.
No.
The lessons, if you will, very, very weird and very just kind of off in each movie. They don't tie together well, I don't feel like.
Yeah.
But that being said...
I'm a little cold in here.
I told you, and you said, I'm going to wear this because I'm burning up.
I'm wearing my muscle shirt.
You are wearing a sleeveless shirt. That is accurate.
Okay. So let's go into the first movie. It came out in 2005.
What's the name of it?
Boogeyman. If you didn't know already. The IMDb rating for this one was a 4.2 out of 10, which is not good at all.
So what's interesting is, did you realize the IMDb rating gets better with each of these films? So like this is the lowest IMDb rating of all three.
Really?
Yeah, it goes 4.2.
I didn't notice
The second
that.
one gets a 5, and then the third one gets a 5.3. Mind-blowing. So what was your rating? IMDb for this first one was 4.2. Yours was...
a 5.
I 100% agree. Yeah, I also gave it a 5.
I don't think it could be better than a 5. But it's not terrible.
No, the casting was great.
Yeah.
And I think the storyline had potential. And then it just faltered when they started adding CGI and all the other stuff.
Yeah. I feel like they were testing the waters on some things with this movie.
Yes.
And maybe it just didn't work out.
No.
So the overview for this one, if you've never seen it, I mean, even if you have seen it, I'm still gonna say it, but every culture has one, the horrible monster fueling young children's nightmares. But for Tim, the boogeyman still lives in his memories as a creature that devoured his father 16 years earlier. Is the boogeyman real, or did Tim make him up to explain why his father abandoned his family? The answer lies hidden behind every dark corner and half-opened closet of his childhood home. A place he must return to and face the chilling unanswered questions. Does the boogeyman really exist? The tagline for this is, you thought it was just a story, but it's real.
Is it? Because they never really explain it.
No, they don't.
They just give more and more questions, even at the end.
I feel like it's still in their head.
Right. They don't answer anything in the first movie, the second movie, and the third movie just blows everything up.
So true. All right, so what was some of your thoughts about this movie?
So overall, the whole concept of being scared of the dark, being scared of the boogeyman, I can relate with that. Like, when I was younger, when I saw clothes lying in a pile, kind of making that shadowy figure, I would go out of my way, get up out of bed, and I would move the clothes.
Yes.
Specifically to remove that whole possibility.
Right.
I thought the lights on, when they finally showed Tim's room when he was a little older, he had, like, every light in his house was on. He had added lights. He had industrial strength lights, like, backup stuff, all that jazz.
Yep. Smart.
That was a strong correlation to me to kind of Darkness Falls. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So I think they took that same kind of premise there, with a different antagonist.
Yeah.
What about you?
The black hooded figure too, like when
that was good.
It like stood up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you always like you said as a kid, you always like look at something like sitting in your room, and I think there's a term for it, and I'm blanking right now on it, but like when you see something in the corner of your room. And it's like, you feel like it's something like else, like something scary, but it's actually not. It's like,
Yeah. I bet there is a term for that.
Yeah.
I feel like that seems familiar.
And when I was a kid, I would always like, I would always want the door to be shut, and I would never wanted like anything sitting up like that. Like I always had to make sure it was like, it didn't look creepy, but
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Something else I noticed, completely not in the realm of horror or anything like that, but I found it funny is, so I didn't grow up super rich. We've talked about that before. You kind of the same background. When you would go to a friend's house, or even now when you go to somebody else's house, and they're a little more well off.
Yeah.
What are some things that you recognize that stand out as like, we definitely didn't grow up the same way?
I think the type of like, I don't know, type of stuff they have in their home, like what kind of soaps they use, and like conditioners and shampoos. Things.
So like, yeah, maybe they don't use Suave.
Right.
Maybe
or
they
VO5.
use name brand. Or maybe Herbal Essences is a step up, or Native, or something like that.
They didn't
What
have
else?
native back then, but
Well,
yeah.
whatever.
But yes, if I go to somebody's house and I see that they have like the good stuff, I'm like, ooh.
So something that I notice, and I can't even tell this at work because it's kind of something that happens there, is when you use the soap, you can tell how good it is based on whether it's pretty much just water at this point, because somebody just looks at it and they go,
that.
let me just refill this with water. We can get all
No.
the other suds out.
Don't
And it
do
does
that.
absolutely nothing.
Right.
Like, there's no purpose in it. You might as well just throw it away and say, sorry, I don't have soap.
Right.
So they do that at work all the time, and it drives me nuts. So I will take that and I will throw it away.
Good.
We
As you
are
should.
a business. We should be able to refill the soap with soap.
Right.
Something else is matching towels.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
big thing. We, right now in our house, we started out super well. We had gray towels in our first house. We have gray towels in the second one. And then, suddenly, we also have black towels.
I really want to get rid of the gray towels because I really like the black towels.
I do too, but I want, like, good quality. Like, the real fluffy, like, Bed Bath & Beyond, like, the real premium ones.
Yeah, it's really hard to find good, solid black towels.
That used to be, like, a popular Christmas present for the adults when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Would be, like, a set of 4 really nice towels.
Yeah, but, like, yes, you're correct.
So,
So growing up, we had, like, a full cabinet
oh, yeah, of just all
of
assorted.
random towels.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I would even use beach towels as bath towels.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so that's one of my goals in life is to have one full household of, like, it doesn't matter how many people come over. Maybe we have, like, a big pool party, even though we don't have a pool.
Yeah.
I want all of the towels in the house matching.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, socks would be the same way, but
Yeah,
I can get behind, like, dress socks and whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, but towels?
Right. So you have noticed that I like to match the kitchen towels that I have hanging.
Yes.
So I don't
we have, like,
different
trios of them.
Yes, I don't like different colored towels.
Yeah,
I think it
I
messes
agree.
with the ambiance
Well,
of our house.
I don't think it's necessarily different colors. You have different themes.
Yes.
So, like, right now we have the gray and black.
Mr. and
like
Mrs.
Mr. and Mrs.
Yeah.
Skulls, kind of the classical stuff.
Yeah.
And then we also have the Ray Dunn set that's orange, purple, and black. And they have different sayings on them, but they all match. Like, the texture's the same, the font's
And then we have the
same.
Christmas ones, and then, so I still use them, but I don't have them sitting out.
Right.
Because I don't
when
think
we
it
switch
looks
the set,
right.
they all go into the washing machine. We pull out the new set, use that for a week or so.
I'm also very particular with soaps.
That's fine.
So.
Yeah. As long as it's not water, I could care less what the soap is.
I hate doing that.
Like, the whole foam versus the gel or whatever, that doesn't bother me.
No, it has to be a full soap.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, so back to the Boogeyman, which has nothing to do with what we just talked about.
No, but, so, to tie into that, was something that we saw in there was matching towels.
Yeah.
When he went to the girlfriend's house.
Yeah, the girlfriend's house was
and I don't know why that stuck out to me, but it did.
I mean, she lived in a mansion, basically.
Yeah.
It was super nice.
Yeah.
And she was not very nice. Like, she was rude.
She was very selfish.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. She had her own needs and she wanted them met.
Yeah.
And did not care about his or him at all.
And then his mom ended up passing away.
Yeah, and she didn't really care that much.
No, she was like, "You're not gonna stay." I told, what's going on?
Yeah.
Speaking of his mom, when they pan to the mom in the casket, her makeup was awful. Like,
so
her
I didn't
dead
even
makeup.
notice that. I was too busy waiting for something to pop out, in which it did. So that was one of my 2 favorite scenes of this. Was the jump scare where the hand grabbed him when he was staring at the mom's casket. Yeah. And then also the dream that he had about his mom. It reminded me of Sixth Sense. Mm-hmm. When the mom's running down the hallway and she's all, like, not cracked out, but, like,
you say that a lot of things remind you of Sixth Sense.
Yeah. Because that was, like,
so weird.
That was a pivotal movie for me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Trauma? Yeah. All from that movie.
Huh. I'll have to rewatch that, or we will,
it's good.
Because I forgot. I mean, I know we see dead people, but...
Yeah, the twist isn't as shocking once you've seen it. You can kind of look back and you can watch the movie in a very different light and perspective.
Yeah.
But the jump scares and the spookiness is still
Yeah.
very there.
This movie actually has a pretty good amount of jump scares. Like the bird flying into the windshield while he's driving.
Mm-hmm.
That scared me. That was pretty good though. But yeah, going back to the makeup, it was just
not good.
Not good at all. It just looked like she had a bunch of like blue veins on her face. But when you're dead, like, and you're sitting in a casket, that's not. They put makeup all over you, so you're not gonna have that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just didn't make any sense to me.
That is a little strange. So, like you said, throughout the movie, they typically portrayed the boogeyman as that hooded figure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was great. I think that fit the storyline and kind of fit the reality of it, playing into what you would see as a kid and kind of what you would make up in your imagination.
Right.
But then, probably halfway to 3/4 of the way through the movie, they switched this up. And it was like the more you saw of the boogeyman, the more ridiculous it looked. Mm-hmm. It looked straight CGI, did not look realistic at all. You just saw this, not even a demonic creature. It was like a spirit from like a digital projection. It wasn't that good.
It was like black smoke or whatever.
Right. It would go between that of like a real like C-rated horror movie. It was awful. It felt fake. It felt forced. It completely took you out of the reality of the movie and of the situation.
Mm-hmm. I noted that when he went back to his like childhood home, it looked like a haunted house. It kind of looks like that house on The Haunting of Ashburn House.
Yeah. Yeah, on the cover of it. The cover of the Darcy Coates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looked like, and you mentioned that it looked like a facade, like a haunted house facade.
Yeah, it looked like the facade of what was it? Fear Reach, Scream Park.
Oh yeah.
It looked very much like that.
Yeah,
it kind of
really
had
good.
that typical Leonard Pickle like.
And then I noted that my childhood home is probably gonna start looking like that.
Probably, like grown up
because it's abandoned. Yeah.
One of my favorite quotes from this that I thought was really cool was, "When you get scared, close your eyes and count to 5."
Yeah.
And then the response was even more realistic. Mm-hmm. Like, because you can hear almost like not life stories, but like advice from people, from adults. Mm-hmm. And then as a kid, you take that out of context and you go, yeah, but what about this? Like, you always rationalize what else is happening. So the girl's response was, well, what happens when you get to 6? And I thought it was cool that he went back to that at the end of the movie and kind of found out for himself, well, what does happen what if you do everything that you're told to do to resolve the situation, but then all of a sudden that doesn't work?
So what happens when you get to 6?
I think that's what the end of the movie helps to portray, is after 6, you're still dealing with the problem.
Yeah.
You're still, like, just because you follow everybody's advice, it doesn't mean that you've fixed anything.
Right, like, you're just counting at that point.
Right.
It's like trying to get your mind to trick yourself into...
Yeah.
It's kind of like an anxiety coping mechanism, basically.
Yeah.
If you think about it, like, I don't know, counting, or like trying to figure out, like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. So 2 other notes that I had on this was, I thought it was neat that the girl that plays Kate is Zooey Deschanel's sister, Emily. She's also in Bones. Yeah, it's her older sister.
You're for sure?
I'm 100% positive.
Okay. It doesn't look like her.
If you look at the eyes and the mouth, they are very, like, they look really similar if you put them side by side. But yeah, they're definitely sisters. So something that she said during the movie to Tim was, it's not the monster in the closet, it's really under the bed.
Yeah.
And at the time, she laughed it off. But in reality, like, that really was her fear that she had kind of already gotten past, but it still kind of lingered in the back of her mind.
Yeah.
And her, like, how she actually died was she was dragged under the bed.
Yeah, and I think that the first movie, and that, like, when that happens, I think that they're trying to set the precedence that the boogeyman
can be anywhere.
Well, but it also feeds on your fear.
That's true.
So then that goes into the second movie to where, like...
Kind of. So the message I took away from the first movie was to kill the boogeyman, you have to face it and destroy it by destroying everything you've connected to it. So the trauma that you've connected to it, how you've kind of rationalized it or made it your... So, like, instead of him seeing his dad as passing away naturally or moving out, he replayed the situation in his head as the boogeyman killed him. The boogeyman is how his dad got removed from his story.
Yeah.
And that I can kind of relate to is you're just trying to, as a kid, put something that you can rationalize as the reason. So...
Yeah.
Again, they never really say whether the boogeyman is real or not in this movie, or whether it's just him acting out, almost like a Secret Window, Johnny Depp type of vibe.
Yeah.
So that was kind of neat.
Yeah, the ending was a bit too supernatural for me. I wish it had been a little bit more realistic, and then I was like, well, the second one's probably going to be just like that. So
I thought the same way, but I thought the second one took a very realistic approach to it. I was impressed by the second one and how they morphed the story into a more realistic aspect.
Yeah. Okay.
What else you got for the first one? Anything else?
Nothing else. If you want to go into your fun facts, if you have any.
I have 2 of them. There are not many fun facts for this whole trilogy.
No, not at all.
So Barry Watson was the main star of this first one. I recognized him from Seventh Heaven. I grew up watching that when it would come on.
I did not.
So the brother in Seventh Heaven, the younger brother, is David Gallagher. And he was one of the roles in Boogeyman 2. He was the first kid that died. The one that got stuck in the elevator shaft.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it was kind of neat that they both starred in Seventh Heaven, and they were both in 2 different movies of this.
Yeah, that's cool.
Do you know anything about the director, Stephen Kay?
No.
So... This director is not very well known for directing this movie, but he is more well known for directing series and other movies such as Yellowstone, which your dad watches a lot.
Yeah.
The Taken movies.
Huh.
Sons of Anarchy, which I'm a big fan of. Friday Night Lights.
Okay, my brother watched that.
And several others. So a very eclectic range
very interesting.
Of acting... or directing accolades.
Is he the director for all 3 of them, or just this one?
I believe just this one, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Okay, that's interesting.
But yeah, so I don't know how he found himself directing this movie.
Yeah.
But,
maybe he just wanted to test horror out, and he was like, yeah, let's try this one.
Yeah, maybe so. So that's all the fun facts I have.
Wow,
on the first movie.
Those are pretty fun.
Yeah, it was a stretch to get those.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so Boogeyman 2.
Yeah, it came out in 2007.
Okay.
The IMDb rating, like we mentioned before, is a 5 out of 10. What was your rating?
I like this one. I gave it a 6 out of 10.
I gave it the same.
Okay.
So for this one, the overview is a young woman with a long-term phobia of the boogeyman voluntarily checks herself into a mental health facility with the hope of conquering her overwhelming fear. However, much to her horror, she discovers that some things are terrifying on purpose, and confronting her demons was not the best course of action. The tagline was, "Fear in the flesh."
In the flesh, is that because, like...
They took it from this supernatural concept in the first movie.
Okay.
And in this one, I think they made it into more of a realistic... This was almost like a thriller slasher.
Yeah.
Instead of a supernatural horror movie, to me.
I agree.
Like, I don't know that they ever really made it.
There was a lot of gore in this one.
Yeah, this one, the kill scenes were...
Yes.
I thought really, really well done.
I agree.
I don't know how realistic they were with it being portrayed as a real person is doing these kills.
So it starts off pretty good with like the little girl or Laura and her brother.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot her brother's name.
I don't know.
Anyways, they witnessed their mom and dad get murdered by the boogeyman. By boogeyman stabbing them.
Yeah.
Which I was like, what? Now he stabs people? Like,
Yeah.
instead of taking them
but
into
it could
his...
have been easily just an intruder.
That is true.
Like,
and then that...
looking back, it wasn't a far stretch to be like, well, somebody just broke into your house.
Right. And I think that's probably what the case was. And then
Right.
they were like, oh no, it's the boogeyman.
Right. They rationalized it as best as they could.
Right. So
because
that's why...
the killer was
Right.
never caught. And they said that
Right.
several times throughout.
Yeah. So, and then that gave the girl what they eventually called boogie phobia. And I'll go into the, what each person in the mental facility, what
Okay.
their fear was.
I only took notes on the creativity of the kill scenes. So it'll be cool to kind of match that up with the scares or the fears.
So yeah, she now attends the mental institution because the boogeyman kept attacking her at her home and she couldn't get over it.
Her brother was in the in the psychiatric facility first.
Yes.
And then he was going to a job interview.
Yeah.
She didn't want to be alone. And because she was still very much dealing with that trauma and with those phobias and was trying to frame it as, well, he's going through it, I'm not. I'm fine. Until he was threatening, not really threatening, but he was pitching the idea to leave and take a career path. Mm-hmm. And she was like, I can't live without you here because I'm still dealing with this.
Right. They couldn't be apart because the more that they were apart, the more it attacked them.
Right. The boogeyman kind of separated and then destroyed them separately.
Yeah.
So he pitched the idea of her going to this facility because he said it really, really helped him. Mm-hmm. So, and it seemed like he did make friends there. He did make connections. Mm-hmm. Whether those were real or not, I don't know.
Right.
But... so the doctor in this one kind of threw me for a loop. Again,
that was
great
weird.
casting. Mm-hmm. So Dr. Mitchell Allen was played by Tobin Bell from Saw. Again, we talked about that Saw 2 had just come out earlier this year, or earlier the year that the first movie came out. So to see Tobin Bell in another role, it was kind of like seeing, oh my gosh, what's his name? The one that played Father Burke in Rings. And then played something else in the Sinister movies.
I don't remember what his name was.
Either way.
But yeah, I know what you mean.
It was cool to kind of see that same character that same actor between two different film franchises.
Yeah.
So for this one, I'm already on edge about Tobin Bell being the bad guy. And I don't know, I still don't think they really painted a clear picture as to whether he was an antagonist throughout. I think he played a role.
Yeah.
But I don't know that he was necessarily the main villain.
No, I don't think so.
But either way, it was really cool to see him in not Saw.
Yeah.
What else do you have? Anything?
Yeah, a quote that he said in this that I really liked was, "We've always struggled to understand the darkness inside of us."
Yeah.
And so I can relate to that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the kill scenes in this were very interesting.
Yes. Yeah. Do you want me to list the kill scene and then you can say more about the fear behind it?
Yeah. But first, I wanted to mention that there's a lot of boobies in this movie.
There's a lot of nudity in this one. In this one and the third one.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's not kid friendly.
No.
I don't remember what the ratings are, but I'd be shocked if they were listed as PG-13.
Yeah.
They may be considered PG-13 now, but I doubt they would be the case in 2005, 2007.
No, probably not. It's just boobs, but yeah.
Something that I thought was cool in this one, we kind of mentioned the whole hooded figure in the first one. They maintained that in this one more so. It was a lot less CGI. It was a lot less that digital effect.
Yeah, which I liked.
It was way more realistic, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why I liked this one a lot.
Yeah, and something I noted, similar to your quote, was I kind of took away from this movie the main premise being, by facing your fears head on, you don't necessarily get over them, but you more so become them so that it's no longer possible to fear them. So you almost take ownership over those fears. So kind of like me growing up being scared of Chucky.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's one of my favorite franchises.
Yeah.
We have Glenn the doll on our mantle.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I used to be afraid of like dolls, like just
and now we have
porcelain dolls. Now we have them everywhere.
Yeah. So we've kind of taken that and we've adopted it as part of our personality, I guess. Like something that we're interested in.
Yeah.
So we've kind of flipped the script on it.
Yeah.
We've faced it, but instead of getting over it, we've just kind of adopted it in.
Mm-hmm.
Which may or may not be healthy, to be completely honest.
Yeah. I think it's somewhat healthy.
All right. So you want to start with the first kill?
Yeah, but the elevator scene?
Yeah. So the kid got stuck in the elevator shaft after being trapped in an uncomfy place.
You're making me uncomfy.
Ugh, it's the worst.
I'm quoting Love is Blind if you didn't know.
Yeah, it's the newest season 6.
Yeah. It's really good.
Unfortunately, horror is not our only hobby, but also reality TV.
Yeah.
Love those. All right, so tell us about David Gallagher getting stuck in the elevator shaft and what his fear was.
So his fear was nyctophobia.
Nyctophobia? He didn't like people named Nick?
No, it means that you're afraid of the dark, basically.
Oh. Nyctophobia?
Mm-hmm, I looked it up.
Interesting.
Yeah, so he's like terrified of the dark. So what happens is he's down there smoking weed or whatever in the basement, and he goes to investigate like a sound or whatever. And then all the lights shut off, and he's like terrified of the dark. So he's like trying to get out or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then he goes into the elevator, I guess, to try to like go back upstairs or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets mutilated by the elevator shaft.
Cut in half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a good visual. The practical effects on this movie.
Yeah,
really
it was
done.
really good. Yeah, like him hanging down or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the second kill was, why don't you talk about the fear first, and then I'll talk about the kill for this one. I think that'll make more sense.
Okay, what kill was it?
The clean kid.
Oh, okay. So the cleaning kid, he's a germaphobe, really bad OCD. So he starts seeing roaches in his room, which is very... Well, no, he eats a bag of chips, and then it turns into a roach, and he's like freaking out because he ate a roach.
In the bag of chips.
Yeah, and so I guess the boogeyman like turned his whatever into roaches. I don't know.
He didn't. I don't think he turned his chips into roaches. I think he put roaches in the bag of chips.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, there's no magic here. This was a pretty straightforward kill.
Yeah, it was pretty straightforward. So what happens is he like freaks out and he like...
Yeah, because he's basically eaten and kind of like spit out a roach.
Yeah.
It's like it was in his mouth. So now the germs are in his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do when it's something else on the surface that's dirty? You put chemicals on it.
Right.
Pretty straightforward. So for him, his solution was drink a chemical solution.
Ugh, so nasty.
So when he drank all these chemicals that he had kind of made this concoction himself out of a lot of industrial cleaners, it dissolved his throat.
Blech.
Really, again,
It was a good...
really cool visual.
Yeah, it was a cool visual, but it was bad.
Yeah. Next, we're going to go into the cutter. Is that insensitive to say?
No, yeah, she was just addicted to self-harming herself, so cutting herself. And this one really, I did not like, because I can't do...
It's very triggering.
Because I used to do that, and I get really triggered. And so when I see somebody doing that to themselves, it really just, I have to look away. But yeah, it was a really nasty scene where, she had already had cuts on her, I guess, and Boogeyman like tied her down and then put maggots all over her.
Yeah, gave her a scalpel.
Yeah.
To hold, or was kind of on her bed when she was tied down. And she wasn't fully tied down. It was like her, almost at her elbows.
Yeah.
Were tied down, so she could still move her forearms and hands.
Right. So she had to like to get the maggots out of her. I hate
Yeah,
even
because they
talking about
like
it.
dumped on her and then were like crawling under the skin. I don't even know if maggots can do that to human flesh
I don't
as
know
quickly
either.
as was portrayed.
I don't know, but it was really gross, and I'm like getting an upset stomach just
Yeah,
thinking
so
about it.
long story short, the girl had to cut them out, further self-harming herself.
Yeah, it was bad.
So moving out of there was tell us about the fear of the one that was more afraid of the outside world.
Yeah, so this kid had agoraphobia, and he was which means, you're terrified of leaving the house or like leaving, you're afraid of the outside world. And so he, how did he end up dying? I don't even remember.
What? So for this one, he had just broken up with the blonde girl.
Yes.
After they had done it in the like bathroom or
that
something.
scene was not.
Yeah, that was pretty graphic and probably unnecessary.
Very unnecessary.
So he had broken up with her and was kind of like I can't give you my emotions.
Right.
Like you're an arm's length away.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I don't know necessarily how this murder played into that straightforwardly, but his heart got ripped out of the chest.
Oh, right. Okay.
So like a big cut, and then this tool separated the skin.
Well, it's because he couldn't give his heart to anybody because he was afraid of everything.
Yeah. Do you know what that device or what that tool was called that like separated the skin in the middle of his chest? It was a sternal retractor. Yeah.
I wouldn't have gotten that on the floor.
No, you would not have.
The show.
Also a good show on Fox. We watched it on Hulu. Yeah, good show.
Good show.
Hosted by Rob Lowe.
Yeah. Trivia.
Yes, we also love trivia shows.
Yeah. Yeah, that was that would suck to get your heart just ripped out of your.
Yeah.
I mean, you always feel like your heart is getting ripped out, but in
so
reality.
This was a literal, like, chest torn open.
Yeah.
So the last, like, I don't want to say teenager kill or kid kill, but the last patient kill, I guess, was the bulimic girl.
Yeah, she had an eating disorder.
Yep.
So she
was scared of
gaining weight. So this one was disgusting.
This one was.
So she was tied down to the bed or whatever, and she had pumps
like
tubes connected to her body, and was getting, I don't know what was pumping into her body.
It was just like straight fat.
Oh, it was disgusting.
Yeah, it was almost like a bunch of different feeding tubes.
Oh.
But almost like a surgical, like an IV.
Yeah.
And it just pumped her with fluid after fluid after fluid until she just burst open. It was
nasty.
It was pretty gnarly.
Yeah. So whoever came up with these
very creative.
Yeah, it was kind of almost like I think I noted this too.
Yeah, you said during the movie's Final Destination.
Yeah, it gave me Final Destination vibes. And I might have noted that was for the third movie too, because it was just random kills,
Oh yeah, that's true.
But yeah, it goes back to like all of these like just random ways to die, but it like correlates with their fear.
Yeah, that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Did they ever say at the end of the movie what happened to the brother? Because the psychiatrist was framed to be the final boogeyman when they like cut the head and revealed the mask.
Yeah, it was.
But the brother just kind of fell off the storyline.
Yeah, it was very
in the
weird.
third movie, they never talk about him, I don't think.
No.
Yeah, so that would have been cool to see him come back in the third movie, almost like a Scream.
Yeah, because he was he was basically the boogeyman.
Right, he was forced into the closet to face his fears.
In which
he became the thing he feared, the boogeyman, and started killing everybody.
Right, and then he killed his sister, right?
Yes?
Yeah, I think he did.
I think so, probably.
I forgot how she died, though.
I don't know.
Oh, there was also other kills of, like, the check-in lady
Yeah, I specifically noted the patient kills, not any
Okay.
of the others.
Yeah.
There was a cool kind of like a electrocution
Yeah.
kill that was kind of neat, but not super noteworthy.
Nah.
So that's all the notes that I had for
Yeah,
this
same.
one.
So I only have a couple of fun facts for this one because again, there are not many.
Yeah.
So there were actually a lot of famous actors that were considered for the role of Dr. Jessica Ryan, which is the girl that got electrocuted, the lady.
Oh, okay.
And Mark, which is the brother.
Oh, okay.
So this included James Franco, Haley Duff, Olivia Wilde, Will Smith, Pedro Pascal, Jim Sturgis, Chris Pine, and Anne Hathaway. Could you imagine any of those people playing
Who is
either of
Haley
those?
Duff?
What? Hillary's sister, Haley?
Okay, that's what I wasn't sure of. I don't know that I could picture her.
Really?
Yeah.
She's taller.
Oh, that helps. James Franco, that's kind of a weird.
Yeah, all
I don't
of
think I
these
could
would
picture
be...
him. I definitely couldn't picture Will Smith.
No. Pedro Pascal? No. Also, I
no.
didn't know he was a huge... Like, he was a big actor back then.
I didn't either. Yeah.
I don't know. Just makes no sense.
Chris Pine, that maybe I could see that.
Maybe. Anne Hathaway, I could not see her being the doctor in this movie.
Was
that your stomach?
It was.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, it's no further of a stretch than Tobin Bell playing the doctor. So.
I guess. I don't know. I just
Yeah,
feel like
that's
if
kinda
they
weird.
were to accept this, they would. This would not be a good movie for them to be in.
Or maybe it would have been miles better. But again, I think the storyline was better in this one than the first one.
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't really know why I wouldn't rate it higher. I just wouldn't. I don't know. There's not any specific reasons.
No. Second fun fact is, despite being conceived as a straight-to-DVD film, the movie did receive a theatrical release in a few countries such as Russia, Italy, Mexico, and Venezuela.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't know that they just went straight to the DVD. Wonder if you could rent this on Blockbuster. Probably.
Probably at the time, yeah.
Yeah. Was Blockbuster a thing? Yeah, it was a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, still in 05. Yeah, I hadn't switched to renting things on Redbox quite yet. I think I started that probably 2009, 2010. So, moving into the third movie, Boogeyman 3, came out in 2008. If you're trying to find anywhere to stream this, it's incredibly difficult.
Because it's not good.
Yeah, it's so we finally figured out we had to stream it on Vudu.
And we had to pay for it.
So the weird part about this is we downloaded Vudu on Apple TV. I downloaded Vudu on my phone, thinking you would be able to purchase it through one of those places on the app. Oh no, you can't do that. You have to go to voodoo.com like it's 2008. And you have to purchase it there. And then you can refresh the app and it'll show that you can watch it. I don't understand. It's 2024. Why we can't just purchase it through the app, I don't know.
It's so crazy to hear you say that.
What?
It's 2024. When we're talking about movies in 2008.
Well, yeah.
It's crazy. It seems like 2008 seems like it was like 2 years ago.
It does. And it was
gosh.
Not. It was like 16 years ago.
That's crazy. I can't even.
So tell us about the IMDb ratings for this.
Okay, so the IMDb rating was a 5.3 out of 10.
The highest out of the whole trilogy.
I don't know how, because
I don't know. This was our lowest, right?
Yeah, I gave it a 4.
I also gave it a 4. I thought it was
I wanted to give it a 3, actually, but...
I considered giving it a 2, and I thought... I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it was like a pity 4.
Right. So what was this one about?
So the overview for this one was, when a college student witnesses the alleged suicide of her roommate, it sets into motion a series of horrific events that cause her to fear the supernatural entity. As she tries to convince the rest of her dorm that the boogeyman does exist, the evil force grows stronger and her friends begin to pay the price. Now she must stop this ultimate evil before the entire campus falls prey.
It was a fun time to be a college student in 2008, I'm sure.
Yeah, probably.
Like, they looked like they had a good time.
Yeah.
Well, the tagline is "She left for college and terror followed."
That it did. That it
Mm-hmm.
did.
So there was a lot of more boobies in this one.
Yep. A lot of nudity still.
Yeah.
Definitely rated R in today's standards and theirs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of CGI though.
Unfortunately.
Yeah,
I think they,
it's
like I said, I think that they tried to test out
in the
different
first
things.
one. In the second one,
They were
they
like,
thought,
okay.
no, we need more CGI.
That's why
Way less realism.
I think that's why there might be different producers.
I think there's different directors. For sure.
I get producers and directors mixed up. I don't like that in this movie, the boogeyman's first kill was the dog. That was really sad.
Yeah, that is sad. I wish that there was at least some cohesion throughout this trilogy, but there doesn't really seem like there is. So, like the first movie, it talks about dealing with trauma. That's kind of how you rationalize the boogeyman, is you replace an actual event and you blame it on this mythical entity.
Yeah.
The second movie focuses on facing your fears and then you embody them. But this third one takes it completely different and it talks about spreading fear increases it. So when I was taking my notes on this, it reminded me of Hermione's quote in Harry Potter of fear of the name only increases fear of the thing itself. I felt like that fit really well with this third movie.
Interesting.
Yeah, and the look of the boogeyman
Terrible.
is horrendous. It looks like it's straight out of Halloween Town.
Yeah, it looks like the Calabar's Revenge.
It looks like a mix-up of Calabar's Revenge, the creature, and then also the from the first movie, the creature that's on screen, Calabar himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he turns into the evil thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
It's
good.
It's so bad.
Not scary. Not no.
The blood. Okay, so there's a lot of blood in this movie.
Well, there's a lot of things that's supposed to be blood.
Yeah, and it's bright red.
Yeah, it's not like The Shining. It's straight red paint.
It's terrible. It does not look like blood.
No, they could have darkened it at least a little.
Yeah.
To try to help the realism.
Most of the kills in this were really cheesy, like the emo kid that got pulled into the chest.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't happen.
And then his phone started ringing from the bottom of the chest, but there's no. They could have expanded on so many things in this.
Yeah.
And just chose to leave it.
And they really one of the biggest scenes that I thought was actually pretty cool, but I feel like they put too much into it, was the hall full of dead bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they used the bright red paint.
Yeah, that also gave off a very Shining vibe.
Yeah. I did like that how they, like, switched back and forth from, like, reality to...
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, it was kind of like I noted that it looked like, or it felt like she was being pulled into an alternate universe when she was dreaming. Mm-hmm. And that the boogeyman really just messes with your mind. Yeah,
and even though we've talked about there's no real cohesion between these movies, I did note two different things that I thought were kind of cool callbacks that they did kind of equate in both movies. One of them was when you're stuck in a closet and you try to leave out of that door, it inevitably leads you somewhere else, completely different.
Yeah.
So that happened in the first movie, and it happened in the third movie as well. Mm-hmm. And then another one was, do you remember the scene of the crooked roof tile? I don't know if it was in the first or the second movie, but it was a little girl in the psychiatric hospital, and she like freaked out. And when she looked up, there was a roof tile that was just kind of pushed in and crooked. I think that was the
second movie, but yeah.
So they brought that back into the third movie. How? It was a very similar scene where she looked up and there was a crooked roof tile.
Oh, right.
Yeah, kind of a gap where somebody could be looking down.
Yeah.
So that was the two bits of cohesion I did find. To go right back to them not being cohesive at all. Mm-hmm. Throughout this third movie, they narrated Dr. Mitchell Allen's diary. And it was, I guess it was supposed to be in his voice, Tobin Bell. Mm-hmm. It was not. It couldn't have been. I don't know if they couldn't afford him. Yeah, they did try to have the same inflection and voice type, but it was very obvious it was not him.
Right. That's funny.
My favorite scene in this movie was the laundry room.
Oh,
where all the blood started spilling out of the laundry.
it was okay.
So the reason I thought this was cool was I could easily see this in a haunted house.
Yeah.
Like if you went into a haunted house and in the rules or in the guidelines, you had a line in there about you may get wet.
Yeah.
I could see like a row of, like a facade of 3 laundry, like industrial sized laundry machines, and then have the doors pop open and like liquid flow out, kind of flesh out of there. And then you could have like a drain or a vent in the floor that it all kind of goes down into, collects there, and then a recirculating pump so that you always kind of have it going.
Yeah.
I think that would be really realistic.
Yeah.
And something I haven't seen in a haunt with like moving liquid in the customer space. So that would be kind of cool to see.
That would be interesting.
Do people throw their friends in front of the the water? Like what actually happens?
Right.
So that would be neat.
Yeah, that would be cool. But yeah, the in that scene where the boogeyman like shows up on the screen of like each
Ugh.
of the windows of the dryer or the washer and dryer.
Straight Halloween Town.
It literally looked like Calabar's Revenge was just coming up on the screen.
Do you remember the laugh that they used? Whenever they would do a kill, and it would do the boogeyman's laugh.
Yeah.
And it sounded like Bowser from Super Mario Brothers.
It did.
It was the most cheesy.
It was so stupid.
They didn't even try to make like a custom laugh or like an evil laugh. It was just Bowser. It was awful.
It was. And then the ending, I did like that they put the ending like how it began with the girl getting pulled under the bed.
Yes, that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really all the notes I give on that one.
Yeah, this one, not a lot of fun facts still.
Yeah.
Did you know that 2 people play the boogeyman throughout filming?
I mean, I'm not shocked.
Yeah, I figured most of it was CGI anyways,
Right.
so I didn't know anybody who actually played it. And also in the very beginning, when Audrey Mitchell reads about her dad's murder, there is a ton of misspellings in the newspaper.
Really?
Like
I didn't
awful
notice that.
Misspellings, grammar errors, all sorts of stuff.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so if I had to recommend this to anybody, I wouldn't.
No.
It was not a fun trilogy to watch.
No. I didn't even want to talk about it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, really seriously considered just canning the 4 or 5 hours that it took to watch these and go.
And we paid for them. We had to pay for 2 of them.
We did have to pay for 2 of them, so $8 later. But
Yeah.
here we are. Hope this is a fun episode.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully we'll find more fun things to talk about other than the Boogeyman series.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about just the Boogeyman himself.
Yeah.
Or watch a few more movies called Boogeyman, of which there was one last year we saw in theaters that was really good.
Oh yeah, the newer one.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys want to share your story of like the Boogeyman in your childhood,
yeah,
feel free to do so. That would be really cool to actually.
Yeah, we can share the story.
We can
here
share the
and
story.
Share some of our own.
Or if you have like a haunting that you've ever like.
Ooh, yeah. I've still got a story I'm waiting to share one day.
Yeah. I thought this was going to be the time that you did it.
I think I'm going to save it.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to hang on to that one.
Oh yeah, it's
Keep
a
it
good
in the
one.
dark a little bit.
All right, guys, thanks for listening. Please like, subscribe, and share our podcast. It really helps.
Yeah.
We're trying to get more people to listen to it. So please do so, or else we're just wasting our time.
Nah, it's fun for us.
I guess so, yeah. All right, thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.